Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. All right, welcome back, everyone. Episode 50. Wow, that is hard to believe. When I reflect back to think that we've made it this far, and we have been going at it now for over a year. You might remember over the holidays, we took a couple weeks off from new broadcasts and just kind of republished some of the episode 1 from the archives, and that went over really well, and it allowed me to really just focus in on family over the holidays, 2018, which was great. But my goodness, when I think that we've now been podcasting for a year, how does that make me feel? Well, it makes me feel really proud of my team, proud of our grit, proud of our resourcefulness, very thankful for the experts that have made it possible, from our guests, our amazing, amazing guests, to the producers that we are working with, Bryant, Jack, everyone at the Trust Accelerator, and locally here in Indianapolis, the core TPM team, as well as Darla at the Coop Group, which is where we are coming at you at today. We are at the Coop Group studio in Indianapolis for episode 50. And I oftentimes reflect on decisions I made with the business. Some have been home runs, and some have been just a swing and a miss, like a bad, ugly miss, And so I will say that as it relates to podcasting, this hasn't just been a home run. I mean, it's been a grand slam for the business and for our interest and dedication to serving the Produce Moms mission of increasing the consumption of fresh produce in the United States. So it has just, the stories that we've told on this podcast are unbelievable, and very proud of our work and very thankful for everyone that's tuning in. So for all of you listening right now, just warm gratitude, big thank you to you all. We would not be able to do this without your participation and interest. So today we're going to kind of change things up. Episode 50, such a milestone, right? And Kristen's here in the studio with me and Darla at the Coop Group. And Darla's just going to be kind of doing she's here as just team support, really. But you should say hi, Darla.
Hello. Hello.
Observing the mics, making sure everything sounds good. And we are going to do a role reversal. Today, I'm the guest on the Produce Moms podcast. And Kristen has sourced some questions from the people who love us the most, I guess, right? That's probably the right way to say it.
Yeah.
So, most of you probably know Kristen. You've heard me talk about her. You've seen her through our other channels at TPM. And Kristen was actually the Produce Mom's first Facebook fan.
Whoop, whoop.
And has been working with TPM now for, I don't know, Kristen, how long? You're probably due
3 years.
Gosh.
Just celebrated third year in March.
You're due for an employee review and probably a raise. So the benefits of working for a startup. Well, Kristen, I am so thankful for you. This is going to be a good episode. So since you're the host, I'm going to throw the mic to you. You can kick off this show and explain what we've got going on.
So as Lori said, we reached out to some of our partners, friends, fans, followers, supporters to gather some different questions for Lori for this 50th episode. There's some that are serious in scope, and then we'll end with some fun ones from people who know Lori best and some of her favorite things. So it's going to be a fun episode. So hopefully you guys will enjoy. So, and Lori has no idea what I am asking her. So it makes it a lot more fun, shows the authenticity and her passion. You know, we decided it'd be more fun for her to be able to do that than just, you know, come up with some answers and read them or say them from practice.
I like off the cuff.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
All right. Here we go.
All right. So we'll start. So this is from Stephanie Barlow.
Oh, hi, Stephanie.
She wants to know, where does your passion for produce come from?
Well, warm shout out to Stephanie. She is part of the marketing team at the Watermelon Board. So watermelon.org and all of our promotions with watermelon and America's watermelon farmers are a big result of Stephanie's vision and confidence in the work that we do at TPM. So Stephanie, thank you. Kristen, repeat the question.
Here it is. Where does your passion from produce come from?
Oh, man. Food is culture. That's it. You know, I studied abroad in college, studied language, majored in Spanish at IU. And so I have a real passion. And through those abroad experiences, was really able to immerse myself in other cultures, opportunities that I wouldn't have had living here in the Midwest in the United States. And one thing that really stuck with me from about that time where I developed my adult sense and reasoning, you know, around like 22, I don't know, but living on your own in a you know, foreign country where you just have a moderate capability in terms of the native language teaches you a lot, and you grow up quick. And for me, one thing that I brought back with me from those experiences was really just how we're all kind of the same. You know, we celebrate life with food. And that definitely came full circle for me in 2019. Went through a tremendous sad loss. Well, it was 2018. Went through a really sad loss, losing my dad. Was not ready for that at all. It was a very big surprise to us all. And just, you know, what grief does to you is just crazy. And it hurts in a way you never knew you hurt before. And to me, seeing the way that people show love during your darkest time and how so often that love is shown through a meal, it brings me a lot of pride and joy knowing that
Absolutely.
We work in the food industry, you know, and every single thing that is memorable, special, and even the contrary moments that are, you know, sad moments of despair, food's part of it. And it's that common thread that unites all of us. And I love that about my work. And my days at the sales desk at Indy Fruits, it was also another way that came alive, you know, selling fruits and vegetables to grocery stores of all different sizes and formats, all different regions of the U.S., and realizing, wow, doesn't really matter where anyone lives. No. Everyone wants this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. On to the next.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. Good question, girlfriend.
All right. Next one's one of our favorite people, colorful.
Seth Carm.
How'd you know? From Salad Savoy. It's kind of a 2-3 part question. The first part is, what was the most rewarding aspect of your work when you first started back at Indy Fruit?
That's a great question. I think that the most rewarding moment for me in the whole journey was when I pitched it, when I finally had the confidence to say to my bosses, we should start a blog and it should be called The Produce Moms. And I could or The Produce Mom. It was singular at the time. Listen to episode 1 for that info. But we should start a blog, call it The Produce Mom. I've already purchased the URL. We could base it loosely off my life as an industry professional and a mom. And you know, all my bosses, I mean, they were, you know, I was the same age as their children. They all had kids. most of which were employed at the company. And the fact that they gave me that green light to go for it, and then they supported me the way that they did for 3 years when we built it and established it. And they really empowered that most vulnerable stage of any startup, which is, the launch and the first 3 years. And we built, I didn't have the executive knowledge that I have today, obviously, when we had our separation. And at first, when I was separated from the company, I just felt like it was a breakup that I didn't want, But now when I look back on it and I realize, the graceful way that they empowered this journey, that, is it one specific moment? No, because it's something that happened day after day after day. From the moment they said they read my pilot blog, after I pitched it, and they sent me back to my cubicle and they were like, okay, write a blog. We don't even really understand what that means. And so I wrote the blog, brought it back to them. It was about a 15-minute time lapse. And they read it and they were like, sounds great. Let's do it. That moment right then was probably the moment that meant the most, that I identify as like, that's the pinnacle moment, But really that habitual support day after day for so many years. And then allowing me the opportunity to buy it, to take it where it is now.
Yeah. Well, and that leads into the next part of the question is, what is the most rewarding thing about what we are doing now at the Produce Moms?
Well, certainly everything that we do matters, I've really pushed on my team, and I've assembled a team that agrees and understands what it means to work for a mission-driven brand and work for a greater purpose, something that is solving a problem. And that problem is, hey, we are the most food secure nation in the world, and 90% of our population does not eat the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables. That's a problem. It's a problem. It's a health problem. It's a problem for our farmers. And we know better, really. So how do we fix it, But goodness, so everything we do has to serve that mission, and we've, as a team, committed to that. But I think the work that is most important in what we do is the work that we do with schools, which is probably the most under-promoted sector and, area of what we do. A lot of what we do with the schools is made possible through our public sector partnerships with the USDA and the Department of Education. And when you're working with those entities, oftentimes it's a research effort or a data study. So we can't necessarily market it the way that we would,
everything else we do.
An activation with Kroger, for instance, And also we're dealing with children, which is a very protected sector of society, as it should be. But man, Kristen, when we had those culinary skills trainings with Chef Todd Fisher and seeing how these men and women who dedicate their professional life to serving children's meals at school and through, by being a cafeteria worker at a K-12 institution. And they had a James Beard recognized chef from California come out to teach them some culinary skills. That was a pretty special moment.
I agree. It's very special.
Very much so. That kind of access doesn't exist in schools today. And those are the kind of innovative, and it's a two-way street, It's like, man, our industry is hungry for those kind of opportunities to get into the schools and do that grassroots work that is accredited and, part of what schools allow. And then obviously the schools, I'm yet to walk into a school that isn't hungry for more resources and more support. Right. And so the work that we do that's empowered the school employees and the school administration has been just so uplifting. Nothing's better, though, than seeing a kid try a fruit or a vegetable for the first time, or seeing a kid walk down that cafeteria line and be excited about pulling, the vegetable offering of the day, which is a recipe that we created at the Produce Moms.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Well, kind of leading into his third part of the question, which is also another question we got from several people, kind of all in one, is what do you envision as the future of TPM? And what do you want to accomplish in the future?
I know. And, for about pretty much up until current, 2019, my whole strategy was don't go out of business. And there's two, I guess there's the positive to that was I was super disciplined. We're a bootstrapping startup, super disciplined with how we were spending money and the kind of stuff we were doing. But the downfall to that is it wasn't until recently that I really started thinking about the bigger picture. And then also realizing wow, we got something special here. I've always felt we had something special, but when Martha Stewart features your work as earned media, that's really special, And when you've got people who are willing to work alongside you, even, gosh, we had some tough times in 2018 as a team. I mean, I'll never forget it. We had times where, business wasn't really great. And my team, I had to have the embarrassing conversation with them of, hey, I'm going to need a little bit more time to pay you. And you know what? Everyone still showed up and still continued to work. And I think that is a result of the purpose-driven work that we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So to get back to that question, what is the future? I've got a lot of big dreams and goals for this business. I really think that the future of the Produce Moms, first of all, the work that we do to empower the supply chain will always remain at the helm of our core purpose and what motivates me as the executive here and the founder of the Produce Moms. And I want to make sure that these farmers and these brands of the produce department that I have just frankly fallen in love with, these companies that from the 10 years when I sat at the sales desk, I was selling their product and researching what they did as a sales representative who was making suggestions to grocery stores throughout the U.S. And now here today, serving as an extension of their internal marketing team and helping to tell their story to consumers or, create innovative ways for them to connect with schools. That, to me, that will always be the point of differentiation between the Produce Moms and every other website or resource that you can connect with that is encouraging you to eat more fruits and vegetables. Because there's plenty of entities out there that share our mission. Our relationship with the growers and with the supply chain is one of the ways that we are unique. And so that being said, I think the Produce Moms is poised to be a lifestyle brand. When you think about some of the best brands out there, all right, the brands that move your soul when you see their products on the shelf. For me, those brands include Air Jordan, Yeti, Patagonia, REI, Martha Stewart. Those are brands where, yes, Yetis sell tumblers, but what have Yetis really done? Or coolers, right? Whatever. They sell stuff that you put that keeps things cold or hot. All right? But really what they've done is they've created a lifestyle. They've created a movement. They've created something that moves people's souls and makes them connect and wants them to put that sticker on their laptop. And we at the Produce Moms are poised to be that brand for fresh produce. No doubt. We are something that in partnership with the growers, in partnership with the supply chain, we can get people that excited about fruits and vegetables. And that's what I'm working towards every day.
That's great. All right, kind of moving into, you touched on it earlier about how the Produce Moms, the home office is at your home. So kind of going into that balancing home and career is a problem for all moms.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And the Produce Moms has been growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
How do you balance it?
I don't.
You have active boys. They both are into sports, their school, everything.
That's probably the number one question people ask me, whether they're my friend or my professional colleague or my mom or Chip or anyone, that's the number one question I get asked is, how do you do it? And, you know, you know what I hang on to is a quote that I actually learned in one of my continuing education courses, the Seth Godin Alt MBA. And it was a quote from my cohort. A woman in my cohort said it. And, you know, I thought I was busy then. I had no idea. You know, that was 3 years ago when I did that course. And I'm pulled in a lot of different directions now. And my mental bandwidth is spent on things that are, you know, things I never could have envisioned being decisions I was going to have to make, right? So, but something one of my colleagues said, and it stuck with me, obviously, is there is no balance. There is only balancing. Mm-hmm. And I remind myself of that probably 25 times a day because I'm always failing at something.
But you're not.
By my standards. Right.
But you're really not.
Right. But it's like...
But you feel like that.
And I also have this... I have this mental vision sometimes that I think of where, like, each bucket of a woman's life or mom's life, I mean, really any human beings, but moms, let's be honest, moms are spread more thin than any other sector of society, especially moms that are... Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're working at home taking care of kids or dropping your kids off at school or daycare and working in an office. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all so daggone busy. It's crazy. But there are these, I envision these buckets, okay? So, like, I've got a bucket that represents the produce moms, and I got a bucket that represents my oldest son, Joe, and then another bucket for Mac, and a bucket for my husband, Chip, and a bucket for my friends, and then one for my mom and my siblings, and
Duke.
My dog, and my personal wellness. You know, like, I have gym memberships that just collect dust, right? And so you've got all these buckets, and you're like, okay, I've got 100%. Because that's really it. That's what we have is 100%. How am I going to divvy up that 100% today? Or how am I going to divvy up that 100% for the next 3 hours? And I just keep reminding myself, like, you're never going to balance. It is only balancing. And if I have to not ignore my kids, but give them less, put less in their buckets, or my husband, because I have to focus so hard on the produce moms for, you know, Monday and Tuesday, then so be it. I'll be at the baseball game on Wednesday, and they know that.
Yeah.
Another thing that stuck with me was a quote from a keynote engagement, or a speaking engagement from Karen Kaplan, very well-respected CEO in the produce industry. Her daughter was one of our first guests, among our first guests on the podcast. She's with Frida's. And Karen said, and I was in the audience when she said this, and it stuck with me too. She said, sometimes you'll miss the first day of school, but chances are you're not going to miss day 3, day 27, you know, she kept emphasizing, you know, how to be mindful of how much you are present as opposed to dwelling on when you aren't.
Miss.
Right, right. And another thing I remind myself is this is the only life my kids know.
Yeah.
You know, that's all they know. They are VIP at aftercare. That's all they know. So
well, that leads perfectly into the next question that Terry Mooten sent in. And Terry. Is, what do your boys think about you being the produce mom and you spreading the message of eating more fruits and vegetables?
Terry, first of all, Terry is a woman who's helped me a lot. She's believed in me, and she is serving right now as a PR representative. She doesn't do a lot of PR work, but she's really passionate about female entrepreneurship, and she's specifically passionate about what we're doing at the Produce Moms. And so, Terry, thank you for the question, and thank you for all that you've done to help me grow. Joe and Mac are my boys, and Joe's 11. Mac, oh my gosh, the second child. How old are you?
He's 9. He just turned 9. Just turned 9 in March.
Oh, goodness. All right. So Joe and Mac are 11 and 9. And they are the light of my life. And what they think about me, I'd say at this point, they're kind of used to it. You know, they're used to their mom being, you know, on TV locally, at least, you know, the indie style appearances, the chaos at home when I'm preparing to be on TV. To them, it's like, oh, yeah. And now they both have Instagram comment pages, too. Like, we just recently had an Instagram question that we asked in our story when we published the produce challenge calendar.
For April.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they have private accounts. Don't go trying to spam it. I monitor their accounts. So, yeah, I'll block you. But we let them follow family and, a couple of their friends and stuff. It's fun. And they both follow the Produce Moms on Instagram. And one of our questions recently in the stories was, what fruit or vegetable are you looking forward to trying this month? And my son Mac responded with nothing. So,
true story.
True story. I mean, we got a great chuckle of it at the office, and they were like, this is why we do it. This is why we are who we are, is the fact that, we're in this just like all of our fans and followers are. We, my life is so much like yours. Yes, the children, their mom is on TV, and they know that when they go out to eat with me, I might ask the server something really crazy like, hey, was this tomato greenhouse grown? It tastes really good. They know that. And they at this point, along with their dad, first of all, sometimes they call me TPM at home. So that's kind of funny, especially like, hey, TPM or hey, Produce Mom. It's become part of our family culture. I mean, kids have to kids are right there alongside their parents when there is a family business, or when one of their parents, takes that leap for an entrepreneurial effort. Before we moved, we recently moved, but before we moved, Joe had to give up his bedroom for my office, and him and Max started sharing a room. So the boys have empowered my journey so much, and I know they're proud of their mom. One of them had a instance at school where they had to go around and say their favorite business owner, and my oldest said his mom, and he came home, and if you know anything about my story, you'll understand why this was a question, but and maybe just because he's a child too in the innocence, but he came home and he was like, Mom, you do own the Produce Moms, right? And I was like, yeah, son, why? He said, well, because I said today that you were my favorite business owner. I mean, that's sweet. Super sweet. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, kind of talking about your sons and, your passion for helping kids consume more fruits and vegetables. One question that Christy Walker submitted was, what's one simple step that anyone could take today to increase their fruit and vegetable intake?
Great question. I would say that the simple step that you can take to increase your fruit and vegetable consumption, we have a mantra at TPM, which is try them all and find your favorite. So you're not going to find something new unless you actually taste it. All right. It's not nutrition until it's eaten. So you have to actually push yourself to try something that A, you've never consumed, or B, you've consumed in the past, but don't think you like it. All right. Our taste buds, it's proven. They change. All right. You start to like things at different stages of your life that in former stages of your life you didn't like. So don't give up if you feel like if there's something that you don't like. And then also don't beat yourself up. Like if you really like to dip your veggies in ranch, then dip your veggies in ranch. Buy the ranch with your vegetables. Do not believe someone who tells you that it cancels it out. That is not true. So, and carry that forward with your children, and know that anytime you're choosing a fruit or a vegetable, anytime you're serving a fruit or a vegetable, you're doing a great job. Another thing that I always want to encourage people, and I see it, gosh, it's part of my everyday life. My children, both of them have a very firm favorite. Mac loves carrots, Joe loves cucumbers. And sometimes that's like, at home, that'll be the only vegetable that they'll eat for like an entire week. And that's okay. As long as you are continuing to provide that access and your loved ones are continuing to consume it, because again, it's not nutrition until it's eaten. Yes, introduce new things as often as you can. We want to increase the consumption of fruits and vegetables in both volume and variety. But if you have a stubborn kid in your house who only likes one thing, or a stubborn, 40-year-old husband, right? That's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it, right? Just serve their favorite and know that you're doing a great job, and they're doing a great job by eating that.
Yeah. So with that being said, what do you see as some of the biggest obstacles for increasing the consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables?
Well, I think that the growth of the produce moms is a great way to say education is where it's at. Yeah. We are creatures of habit. I know that in my own household, I've got about 7 meals I know how to make. I can make them with my eyes closed, and they're my family favorites. Those 7 meals are in that weekly rotation, right? And every household, I am convinced, is pretty similar. I think it's very rare to find a household where, you're eating all sorts of new recipes and cuisines all the time. I don't know. Comment below. Send me an email. Send me an email if that's your house, because we need you to be the guest on the podcast to tell us how to do it. But truthfully, I think that the education is where it's at. Education and inspiration. Get people to start thinking about increasing their fruit and vegetable consumption by doing what I said before, volume and variety. And the big learning curve is, how do I select, how do I store, and how do I serve it? People don't know, they might be interested in dragon fruit, but people have no clue if the dragon fruit, like what the dragon fruit is supposed to look like at the grocery store. And then the next step is they don't know if it goes on the countertop or in the refrigerator. Or if it goes in the refrigerator, does it go in the crisper drawer or the top shelf? Like there's all these points of confusion. And then lastly, how do you serve it? Like, do you eat it raw? Do I peel it? Do I eat the peel? Is this best cooked? Those are all really valid questions. And one thing that we are working towards at the Produce Moms is being that comprehensive and authentic and highly engaged resource for you to answer, to empower you in your journey to eat more fruits and vegetables and answer those questions.
Yeah. Well, with that, we kind of touched on selecting, which we're going to kind of move to the retail space of things. And a question. I know Brit and Ladd was on not too long ago. So, question from Catherine Grandy. She wants to know, with all the new formats and trends to the retail profile these days, grocery apps, shopping online, home delivery, meal kits, etc., what solutions are being found in the produce department to improve selection and delivery in these formats?
Well, I think that certainly it is a data and insight-driven world. Your grocer is really just as much of a tech company as they are a food retailer, all right? Doesn't matter where you shop. It is a data-driven world, and they are leveraging those consumer insights as well as broader data from entities like Nielsen and, Food Marketing Institute and so on, to help identify what people actually want, and also who is the real competition. It is such a competitive landscape right now. And yes, please do tune into Brit and Ladd's episode, because it was phenomenal. And it talked a lot about some of these topics. What you're going to see, we want as an industry, we want fruits and vegetables to be an easy choice. And we realize that in America, there is an abundant interest. Consumer data tells us that 70% of society and 70% plus of society says, yes, I want to eat more fruits and vegetables. Yet, only about 10% of society is actually eating the recommended amount on a daily basis. So, why does that?
Where's the disconnect?
Right, and I think that you're going to continue to see the produce industry innovate to make fruits and vegetables an easier choice. I also think you're going to see a lot of shifts and changes in packaging. Your produce department is going to be, we are at the helm of packaging innovation strategies, realizing that, we have to protect the land. These are farmers. The land is how they are in business. Okay. So I don't know a single brand in the produce department that I have not met a single farmer, and I know hundreds, thousands. I don't know a single person that is thinking, how are we going to sabotage the environment? Right. No, not at all. Like everyone, it's the opposite. So you're going to continue to see things evolve, like ready to eat. All right. You're going to see grocers come up with strategies to compete with entities like DoorDash and Uber Eats. That is a new disruptor for the food retailer. You know, you are a busy household and you need to get dinner on the table in 15 minutes. And what used to be mom or dad running to the grocery store for a quick pickup, either at the deli or buying some, you know, key missing ingredients so you can prep a quick meal at home. Now you just get on your smartphone, you order food ready to eat from your favorite restaurant and it's delivered. And so that is a total, like the way that food service is competing with food retail is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
So with that, if you could snap your fingers and magically change one big thing affecting the produce industry, what would it be?
Propaganda.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah. One thing that motivates me every single day are people that are misinforming society. All produce is good for you. Period. No questions asked. So,
guilt-free zone, right?
It's totally a guilt-free zone. When you are shopping in the produce department, be very, very proud of that and know that bite for bite, you're putting more nutrition in your body than any other food item that's available in that grocery store. And yes, if I could change one thing, it would be let's spread facts about our food. And you know what? We should push back on the supply chain to have that transparency. This is stuff we're putting into our bodies and more importantly, our kids' bodies. Okay. So I get it. We want that transparency. But then at the same time, folks, let's respect the science and the fact. All right.
Facts, not fears.
Facts, not fears. You know, pseudoscience and propaganda have absolutely plagued not just the fresh produce sector, but all of food and all of agriculture. And, so that would be the one thing. If I could snap my fingers, that's what it would be.
Great.
And I would also as I'm snapping my right hand, I'd use my left hand to shake the media and say, look, pay attention here. Quit spreading this nonsense. You know, call me next time you want someone to report on the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Call someone who actually is a fact-based resource that uses third-party auditing and research to educate the general population.
All right. So we've gone through some fun, serious questions. Now we are going to get a little bit more lighthearted.
Good, because I'm starting to sweat like in this hot seat.
So we have different fans and followers, partners that have, who know you, have some different fun questions. So it'll be a little Q&A.
All right.
Kim Flores.
Oh.
Did you like veggies as a kid?
I liked them on my tacos. I remember on taco night, I was always the one around the family table. I'd put the lettuce and the tomatoes. We often use like canned diced tomatoes. But yeah, I was always the one in the family that was just loading up my taco with like every single topping mom could put out. Other than that, I was born in 1981. So comparing what was available even, I remember shopping at the grocery store when the produce manager was hydrating the vegetables with a garden hose.
Yeah.
All right. Like I remember my mom telling me and the produce clerk telling me, don't trip on the hose. Like
showing our age.
Yeah. Right. I remember when strawberries were something that was only available during, the summertime. Yeah. So logistics have improved to a point where retail today and food access today is nothing like what it was when I was growing up. And I'm not even 40 years old. Like that's how quickly the food supply chain in America has changed. So I liked vegetables. I wasn't super adventurous. My family, I was pretty much raised in with your classical meals, like one night a week we would have fish, and then one night a week we would have tacos, one night a week we would have usually a pasta of some sort, and then like sandwiches or something, and maybe go out for pizza on Friday night, but one thing that my parents did very well was they always offered it.
Yeah.
It was always it was a staple. It was part of the meal. It was always a vegetable, and usually a green vegetable. I think that, now we're a little bit more educated and there's more abundance in the U.S. where we can really promote eating the rainbow. But back in my childhood days, I was always eat your green vegetable, eat your greens, eat your green vegetable, But yeah, I've always liked them. And I've always been super adventurous with my food, too. Like, I was
And you still are.
Yeah, I was the girl, high school spring break, we were in Gulf Shores, and I remember there were these boys from Alabama. Then they were like, anybody want to eat this crawdad? And all my friends looked at me, they're like, Lori will. And I was like, sure, I will. And so yeah, I've always been really adventurous with my food, and crawdads, fruits and vegetables, you name it, I'll try anything.
Well, speaking of, you've talked about tacos a few different times. And
yes.
anybody who knows you knows your love for Taco Bell, which we've also had their
Missy Shapehuck.
Yeah, on the podcast.
She created the Power Bowl menu.
Yes.
I mean, she's an American hero.
So our dear friend Elena.
My favorite person to get Taco Bell with,
right?
actually. Yes.
Who recently sent us Taco Bell gift cards.
I know. Thank you,
So
Elena.
thank you, Elena.
If anyone didn't know that, you can pay for the produce moms and Taco Bell gift cards.
But she wants to know, what's your Taco Bell order?
Geez. I almost don't want to disclose it. All right. Well, since Missy's been on, I've been ordering more stuff on the Power menu for sure. But the all-time favorite, nachos Bel Grande. It
comes with veggies on it.
Well, a trace amount. But yeah, that's like my favorite. Let's say favorite indulgence. And you really just can't go wrong with the soft taco supreme. But yes, yeah. But check out the Power Bowl. Truly, that's it, and add extra veggies.
All right, Monica.
Monica, yeah.
Wants to know, if veggies were people, which one would you pick to be your best friend?
Oh man, goodness. Well, I'm kind of just like a down to earth traditional person where everyone, I kind of just find myself as I evaluate my friends and who I like to be around. Don't want anyone too flashy, so like Romanesco, get out of here, right? Don't want anyone super trendy, so I'll say in that regards, maybe cauliflower, no thanks. But if I, something that's really tried and true, where pretty much everyone's like, yeah, I want that on my veggie plate. So I'll say celery.
Celery. Oh, good answer. Good answer. All right. So also, people who know you know your passion and love for all things IndyCar.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the Indy 500 coming up in just over a month. We're not that far. Things are getting exciting. Who is the greatest IndyCar racer of all time?
Oh, man. Well, my favorite driver, I love him, but he's not the best. My favorite driver is Graham Rahal. The best driver of all time, AJ Foyt.
There you go. All right.
Yes, and open wheel racing only, please. People, when I disclose that I'm like such an Indy 500 fan, people are like, "Oh, do you like the Daytona 500?" No, I don't. You want to know why? Because the cars are too slow. So, open wheel racing only. So, from a racing perspective, IndyCar, number one, F1 number two, and that's where it ends. So
and the line is drawn. We won't see Lori at the Brickyard.
No, you will not.
So we've all heard and seen pictures of the newest member of the Taylor family, who's only a couple years old, the produce pup, Duke, little Duke, who also happens to be one of my best friends.
Yeah.
What is Duke's favorite fruit or veggie?
Oh, well, Duke was raised on fruits and vegetables. So if you don't know Duke, yes, he has an Instagram handle, the produce pup. He is a massive Great Dane. He looks just like Marmaduke. And he weighs about 180 pounds. So,
but he's the sweetest thing you'll ever meet.
Totally. Like, just adorable. And so sweet potatoes are probably his all-time favorite. But as a puppy, I mean, if anyone's ever raised a giant breed dog, they eat and grow. And it just, like, you cannot keep up with what these Great Danes want to eat. And so we feed our dogs, like kibble dog food, always have. And so Duke, that's what he eats primarily. But we were going through a 40-pound a 40-pound bag of dog food every week when Duke was in his rapid growth. Yeah, it's crazy. And
I remember them all getting delivered.
oh, it was nuts. Yeah. And so at that point, I did some research. I mean, we've got some great content on the producemoms.com about fruits and vegetables that are safe for dogs. And I just started, whether it was sweet potatoes or watermelon's one of his favorites, blueberries. And I would just start putting that into his food bowls because it was a lot more cost effective. And I knew he was getting, the nutritious, foods and properties that he needed to grow. And still today, yeah, he definitely, sweet potato dog treats are among his favorite things. So and eggs, anytime I make eggs, he comes and bakes at the stove. It's really kind of pathetic, but also adorable. Yes. So
speaking of Duke, our dear friend Spud Love,
Eric Beck,
had a question on who gets more preferential treatment, Duke or Chip?
Duke. No questions asked. I've been
not even a close second?
No, not at all. I mean, I've been with Chip since I was 18. So we are so tried and true and certainly still so very much in love. But yeah, Duke gets all my attention. Oh, man. No, I love my whole family. But yeah, it's amazing how much of a dog person and crazy Great Dane lady I've become with Duke. Everyone who knows me knows that. Yeah. And it was funny. Kristen and I were in a meeting at the Produce Marketing Association Fresh Summit. And I got this text message from a PayPal notification saying, you paid Danlea Farms, X amount of dollars. And I didn't really think a whole lot of it. I thought, that's odd. Maybe it's a parent company or subsidiary. Who knows what it is, right? But farms, we do a lot with farms. Yeah. Maybe I did owe someone. I don't know. And then I got a text message, within seconds from my husband. Oh, we just bought a Great Dane. And I'm like, what? And I look at Kristen. We're in the meeting. I was like, oh, my God, the boys just bought a Great Dane. And the women we were in the meeting with were like, oh, that can't be true. They wouldn't do that without you knowing.
My response was, yes, they would.
So, yeah, my house is a total frat house, complete with the massive Great Dane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So one last question, also coming from Eric Beck, Spud Love. If you had the day to spend with Britney Spears, what would your day entail? Because if you know Lori, she's a huge Britney fan.
I love her. And I've been to a lot of concerts. I love her comeback from the Blackout album. I just think she is someone who has owned her journey and continues to, right? And she's taught all of us, you know what? We all have our breaking point and you can recover. I love her. And I have often said, if we met, we would be best friends. But what would we do? I don't know. I mean, we'd probably go to Kroger.
Go shopping, go grocery shopping. Help her pick out her produce.
Go to Kroger and then come back to my house and have a salad and drink wine. Pink wine and hot tea because she loves hot tea. I don't know. I mean, I just, watch our kids play basketball together, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, good question, Spud Love. I don't know. All right. We'd go to Kroger.
Oh, my God. I love it. So perfect. Well, with that being said, this has been a fun 50th episode. And as you always do, I'm going to let you have the last word.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this, being in the hot seat. And so final remarks from me. I'm not used to that. I'm used to doing what you did, just throwing the mic back to the guests. Yep. Yeah, sign us off. All right, everyone. So such a loaded question to tell someone to sign off from really a milestone that I never even thought was possible. I didn't think that a podcast, people would care and tune in. And in fact, they do. And that warms my heart. So thanks for being here. We would be nothing at the Produce Moms without our fans and followers. The reason we are able to continue to grow and continue to provide you, our fans and followers, with this unique access to the supply chain is because you're here and because you are interacting and because you care. So thank you for caring about fruits and vegetables and about this industry that has empowered my entrepreneurial journey and has taught me just how wholesome, dedicated, and loyal American agriculture is. I'm really, every single day of my life, I'm inspired by the people that we work with at TPM. And I have great pride in knowing that we are doing work that helps feed the world, that helps people, close that gap on the consumption discrepancies in the United States as it relates to fresh produce. And I'm motivated every day by messages from our fans and followers that say things like, oh, I served your recipe for my friend's bridal shower, and here's a photo of it. Everyone loved it. There's nothing better than seeing your passion and the work and what you work hard to create and produce being put into people's lives and being part of that culture that I was talking about at the top of the show, and the way that we all enrich not only our own lives, but the lives of everyone that we love and care about. So thank you for being here. And please tell your friends about the podcast. Remember to subscribe, and please write us a review, because that helps us a lot in our ability to reach more people with this very important and noble message. So thanks for being here. If you ever need anything, just reach out. My team and I, we are all very hands-on with how we monitor our inboxes and pride ourselves on being a very responsive and, open door type brand for you all. So thank you. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to Lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.